I'd like to welcome you tonight to the 15th annual spring program for Fairfield Christian School. This year we have decided to make this a tribute to the families of our 224th. We are really thankful that so many of you are here, and it's our hope that you will be blessed by the singing and the sharing that's done tonight by our students. At Fairfield Christian School, every day, prayers are offered in every classroom for our soldiers, for their safety, for God's help for them during these difficult times that they face. Our eyes are also set on that day when our soldiers come home to stay, and the war on terror has been won. It's our privilege to stand in prayer with you, the families of the 224th, we know that your part is not an easy one as you stand faithfully on the home side. So tonight, again, we would like to dedicate this program to you. We want you to know that we love you, and we thank God for you and your soldiers, our soldiers, what they're doing to keep America free. These soldiers are our heroes. We'd like to honor each of you from the 224th Family Readiness, first of all, by asking you to stand, if you would. If you're affiliated with the 224th Family Readiness, would you stand? I'm going to ask you to go ahead and stay standing, because I'm going to ask Larry Nelson to come, and we would just like to, before we begin our program, we'd like to just join our hearts in prayer for you and for our soldiers. So would you come and lead us, please?
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are grateful to you. We are thankful that maybe most of us, but at least many of us, were born in this land. And we know that this land's not perfect, but God, that you chose men and women to found this country that believed in liberty, that believed in you. And we thank you for the liberty that we all enjoy, that so many of the people in the world don't even have a conception of. And we thank you for men and women who are willing to serve us and go into these foreign lands and represent us and defend our liberties. And Lord, we thank you tonight for all the men and women in service throughout the globe. But we think particularly of the 224th tonight because they're dear to our hearts. And we pray, Lord, for your divine protection over them. We ask that you would put a hedge of protection round about them. We pray for the families, God, that you will give them peace, that you'll give them your divine peace as they wait on their loved one to come home. We pray for those families that have already made a tremendous sacrifice, and we ask you to be a Father, we just thank you for these people that are standing here tonight. We ask your blessing upon them in Jesus' wonderful and mighty name. Amen.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Again, I welcome you. We welcome you. And I just want to say, just God bless you. And we're ready to begin, I think.
I will be leading you in the pledge of the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will be leading you in the pledge to the Christian flag. I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag and to the Savior for whose kingdom it stands, one Savior, crucified, risen, and coming again, with life and liberty for all who believe. I will be leading you in the pledge to the Bible. I pledge allegiance to the Bible, God's holy word. I will make it a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. I will hide its word in my heart, that I may not sin against God.
The third and fourth grade class would like to present to you the truth about George Washington. This is a skit by Tracy West. Brandon Taglauer is the teacher, Mr. Carlson. Maya will be played by Hannah Sirk, Jason by Joshua McCarty, Larry by Zach Cook, and Rebecca by Ashley Williams. The truth about George Washington.
Good evening. We are celebrating President's Day today. Our class would like to read all of their reports to you today.
Yes, we would.
Wonderful. I can't wait to hear about the president you chose.
We wrote about George Washington, the first president of the United States.
We drew a picture of him. George Washington was born on February 22nd, 1732 in Virginia. He practiced his spelling and his handwriting in school. His favorite subject was math. He was a very good student.
He was also very honest. When he was a boy, he chopped down a cherry tree. His father was very upset. He asked George if he did it, and George said, "Yes, I cannot tell a lie."
Excuse me, young lady, but I believe you have made a mistake.
The picture, it's talking.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have heard that cherry tree story many times, and it just is not true. It was made up by the man who wrote a biography of my life. He could have learned a thing or two about honesty, if you ask me.
Sorry about that, Mr. Washington, We thought it was a true story. Would you like to hear the rest of our report?
Oh, I would like that. I will try not to interrupt again.
George Washington was very strong. He liked to ride horses and play sports. George Washington was so strong, he once threw a silver dollar all the way across the Potomac River.
Oh, dear.
I can help Mr. Washington, Maya. I think this story is just a myth, too. It really didn't happen.
Well, of course it didn't. The Potomac River is over a mile wide. I was strong, but not that strong. Nobody could do that.
There are more facts in our report, Mr. Washington. Can we keep going?
Oh, by all means. This is very interesting.
George Washington ran a plantation in Virginia. He also became a great soldier and fought in the French and Indian War from 1755 to 1758.
And in 1775, when the American colonists went to war against England, George Washington became the commander-in-chief of the Revolutionary Army.
Excellent. That is all correct. You children are very smart.
After the war, George Washington helped to create a democracy in this country. He ran for president in 1789. He won the election and became the first president of the United States.
I'm sorry to do this again, but...
Did we get something wrong?
Well, I'm afraid so. You see, I didn't actually run for president.
No, I'm confused. How did you become president if you didn't run?
Well, after the war, the colonists wanted to make me king. I didn't want that at all. I wanted to live in a land where people could be free to choose their leaders and make their own decisions.
So that's why you helped set up a democracy?
Exactly. The first election for president was held in February 1789, but I had promised not to seek office. I did not campaign. I did not even ask for the job, but all the states voted for me anyway.
I guess you decided to take that job.
That's right. I could not turn my back on my country. It was a great honor to serve as president.
We thought you were a great president. That's why we chose you for our report.
Why, thank you.
Speaking of our report, before. Can we finish?
Oh, please do.
George Washington was president from 1789 until 1797. When he got old, he wore false teeth made of wood.
Let me help you out here, Mr. Washington. I know this story is just a myth too, right?
Oh, correct. I did wear false teeth, but they certainly were not made of wood.
I'm sorry we got so many things wrong, Mr. Washington.
Oh, that's quite all right. It has been more than 200 years since I was president. It can't be easy to keep the facts straight for all that time.
Thank you for helping us, sir.
Mr. Carlson, may I draw another picture?
Why, Jason?
I thought I'd find out if Abraham Lincoln has anything interesting to say. Thank you.
Stealing and it sets my brain a-reeling when I'm listening to the music of a military band. Any tune like Yankee Doodle simply sets me off my noodle. It's that patriotic something that no one can understand. Beatings of the land of cotton melody untiring, ain't that inspiring? Hurrah, hurrah, we'll join the Jubilee, and that's going south for the Yankees, brother. flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly over institutions of learning. I stand guard with power in the world. Look up and see me.
I stand for freedom. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head's a little higher, my color's a little truer, I bow to no one.
I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped, I am saluted. I am loved, I am revered. I am respected, and I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. I was flown at Valley Forge, Gettysburg, Shiloh, and Appomattox. I was there at San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, and the Argonne forests, Anzio, Rome, and the beaches of Normandy. Guam, Okinawa, Korea, and Kisan, Saigon, Vietnam, know me.
I am presently in the mountains of Afghanistan and the hot and dusty deserts of Iraq, and wherever freedom is needed. I led my troops. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired, but my soldiers cheered me, and I was proud. I have been torn, burned, and trampled in the streets of countries that I have helped set free. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I have been soiled upon, burned, torn, and trampled in my country, and when it is done by those whom I have served in battle, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong.
I have slipped the bonds of earth and stood watch over the uncharted frontiers of space from my vantage point on the moon. I have borne silent witness to all of America's finest hours, but my finest hours are yet to come. When I am torn into strips and used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the battlefield, when I am flown at half-mast to honor my soldier, or when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving parent at the grave of their fallen son or daughter, I am proud.
Glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the
One signature which sometimes attracts attention is the tremblingly written name of Stephen Hopkins of Rhode Island. Those who do not know the reason for the unsteady pen often suggest that this man must surely fear the gallows. Far from it. Stephen Hopkins, shipbuilder, merchant, lawyer, and colonial governor of Rhode Island, was one of the bravest men who ever lived. Usually his secretary did his writing for him because he was afflicted with a disease known as shaking palsy. When he signed the declaration, he held his right wrist with his left hand and did his best to write his name plainly. He said, "If my hand does tremble, John Bull will find that my heart won't."
As for Samuel Adams, when General Gage advised him to make peace with King George, this patriot firmly replied, "I trust I have long since made my peace with the King of Kings. No personal considerations shall induce me to abandon the righteous cause of my country." No wonder these men were long ago called the Immortal 56.
John Witherspoon was the only clergyman numbered with the signers of the Declaration. He was 54 years old that July day in 1776, so he knew what he was doing. He was a member of the War Board. They tell us that he often visited troops and continually used his influence to make conditions easier for them. He became a college president after the war and wrote many religious books.
When Lewis Morris signed the Declaration of Independence, he well knew what was in store for him. This gentleman owned an estate of 3,000 acres of the finest lands. He called this place Morrisania. There, with abundant wealth, he lived like a prince. Although British troops were stationed near him and watched his every move, Lewis Morris signed the Declaration of Independence. Straightway, he lost all his earthly possessions. Worst of all, his family were driven from their beautiful home as an example to all rebels. His descendants might be living at Morrisania to this day if Lewis Morris had not written his name in so conspicuous a place.
The first of the signers to die was a Philadelphia judge, John Morton, whose death occurred in April 1777. Many of his oldest and dearest friends had turned against him because he had signed the Declaration of Independence instead of making peace with the king, and so bitter were they. They refused to be reconciled to Judge Morton even on his deathbed. He was ill only a few days, and with his last breath, he spoke these words as his dying message to these old-time friends. Tell them that they will live to see the hour that they shall acknowledge it to have been the most glorious service I have ever rendered to my country.
Sweet land of liberty.
Army chaplain in World War II wrote home, "Irene, it's the foolish information I treasure. You don't know how imperative it is that I know what tablecloth you're eating off of today." His assistant wrote, "Tell the girls that I should love to hear particularly about the little, seemingly unimportant things that make home life beautiful."
No matter where or when a soldier serves or has served, letter writing becomes his or her primary way to keep a grip on reality and to stay in touch with their dreams and plans. Their thoughts of home keep their spirits high through the danger, loneliness, and boredom of war.
We are going to share some letters that were written to loved ones from soldiers serving overseas.
Whether they were written during World War II, Vietnam, or by someone currently serving in Operation Iraqi Freedom, the letters highlight each soldier's love and appreciation for their country and folks back home.
The following letter was written by Rich Weatherall, who served in Vietnam. Dear Karen, I'm in my 5th day here, and I have to get this written before the resupply chopper gets here. It's beastly hot here. The way I work it, we do our moving in morning hours before it really gets hot. Then I set up a defensive position on some high ground and send out some patrol to check the area. All remains to go well. I can't thank you enough for the package and the beautiful card you sent me. The cookies arrived in number 1 shape and are delicious. I only have a few left. Also, please send more of these if you can, and the bean dip and chips and olives are ideal. You have a knack for knowing what I like: cinnamon rolls, chocolate chip cookies, teddy bears, pixie sticks, olives, Fritos, and bean dip. I have the pictures in my wallet, and they are just great, and I glance at them often to take me back to those good old days and times, enjoyed just a short time ago with you. A million hugs and kisses to you, Rich.
Gerald Hertzfeld, although an Army private, served as machine gunner in World War II on a merchant marine vessel. Just before volunteering for the mission, he wrote home to his parents in the Bronx. January 2nd, 1942. Dearest Mother and Father, before I go into any sort of detail concerning the reasons for this letter, I would like to say a word or two on several touching subjects. To a man, there isn't anything as dear to him as his parents. I have 2 very dear parents. To me, there isn't anything nor anyone that could take your places. There is a gate to my heart that cannot be passed, no matter what means are tried, and that gate guards my love and devotion to you. Believe me when I say that no man can deny similar feelings for his parents. Yesterday, I was chosen amongst 25 others to embark upon a secret mission under sealed orders. No one knows where we are going, and no one knows when we are returning. We do know what our job is, but you can rest assured that no matter what it is, it will be done in the American manner and to the best of our ability. Of course, you know that the American manner is the best going and cannot be stopped. Since being in the Army, I have come to realize what responsibility and maturity mean. Gerald.
David Thomas served as a 2nd lieutenant with the 1st Fighter Group during World War II. After several months in Britain, the squadron went to North Africa. The group also participated in the Sicilian and Italian campaigns. June 21st, 1942. My dearest darling, I bought a new cycle at one of the towns near the air base for £8 and 6 shillings. It is a fast, trim little job and is superior in many ways to the American makes. The bike comes in handy here. It is almost a necessity. I have to go anywhere from 10 to 15 miles a day, and I don't want to walk that much every day. Most of the officers have cycles now, and in our free time we go for rides about the countryside. In some of these countryside travels, we have visited rather large cities. We have seen the results of German demolition bombs on English homes and communities. Here people, civilians, have given their lives, their homes, and their sons. They are not whimpering, but bravely tell us, the American soldiers, to keep smiling. This actually happened to me today. An old man who was standing in front of a crumpled heap which had been his home. As I saw it, I gasped slightly and wrinkled my brow a bit. Keep smiling, lad, he said. Everlasting love, David.
Private First Class Robert Baum served as an aerial radio gunner with the Marine Corps during World War II. Here's the way I think of it. If I can think of you all safe and sound at home, getting all you can out of life, why, it's more than worth it. If only one of us has to give up a little part of his lifetime for a little while and have it that way for always, more than worth it. I never thought to find myself way down here in the Southwest Pacific, but here I am, and it isn't half as bad as it's cracked up to be. I have a roof over my head. Luxuries are scarce, but as I write this, The chow is good and sufficient. You people back home have such a vital job. We need a lot down here, and though we get along with what we have, all additional equipment makes us feel so much more secure. This is one game I'm going to beat. I know. When I played baseball, I never wanted to sit on the bench. I always wanted to play it the whole game. And here too, I'm going out every time, and while I'm playing this game, I'm going to play hard and to win. Remember to trust in God. I'm coming back. God bless you. Remember me in your prayers. Robert.
I am a member of the Washington National Guard, an infantry squad leader assigned to the 1st Cavalry Division in Baghdad, Iraq. After spending approximately 6 months in Iraq, I got to go home on leave. I had many people, strangers, walk up to me and thank me in a variety of different ways. I'd like to share some of the experiences I had while traveling across our great country. Some of the people would look at me and quickly look away when I looked at them. Eventually, they would say something. Some would see me from across the airport or wherever I was and make a beeline to me and say something. They all appeared to have nothing in common. Some were old men, old women, young men and women, and children. I enjoyed the children the most, the way they looked at a soldier with wide eyes and open admiration. I told each of them about my daughter, who was at home, who I was getting to see after a long time of being away from her. Most started out the conversation by asking where I was going or where I was coming from. Others asked if I had been in Iraq. When I told people I was on leave from Iraq, they all made some kind of physical contact, shaking hands, putting a hand on my shoulder or arm, and a surprising number hugged me. Some bought me drinks, some bought me lunch, some gave up their first-class seat to me, some shared stories about their family members or friends who were in Iraq, and each asked me if I knew their family member or friends. Some asked for my address to send care packages to me and my platoon. All were incredibly polite, thankful, and inspiring. Some who spoke to me did so with a red face, some with tears in their eyes, some crying. Each were once again inspiring. The people who I spoke with made a lasting impression on my life. To me, it was awe-inspiring. I wish everyone could experience the love and appreciation I felt while traveling home to see my family. To all Americans who support the American soldiers, simply because we are serving all over the world, who we will never meet or get to personally thank for their enormous support, thank you. The support, love, and respect that I received all across America is humbling. To be treated like a hero for doing one's job is something I wish everyone could experience. It is incredible. For the record, none of us consider ourselves heroes. We are just soldiers trying to do a job, then to get home to our families. I know I've said it many times, but thank you, America. A grateful American soldier, Sergeant Mike Stutsky.
Well, in closing, again, I want to say thank you for coming tonight and joining us in this night of celebrating our history, and we're just especially thankful for those of you from the 224th that came to join us tonight. We have fixed a little, well, actually what it is a tablecloth. But we made some stars on it. It's back here in the back, and there are markers there, and we would love it if you would like to make a little note on there to your soldier. And we're going to wrap that up with a video of the performance tonight and send to them. So take some time to do that. We have a ton of refreshments across the hall. There's lots of cold drinks and refreshments. We would love to have you stay and visit. We'd love to have you visit with our teachers and with our students and with each other. So we encourage you to stay tonight if you're able to. In closing, I'm going to share a scripture with you. And I sort of picked it because of the 224th, I guess. But it's one that's a favorite of mine and probably of yours as well. And I think it would just be a good way to close. It's from Romans chapter 15, verse 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. So God bless you tonight. Join us across the hall if you would when we're finished here. So thank you very much.